Because all of your life you're told by others who you are. Has it ever occurred to you that you are not really you? Most of you are what people have told you you are.
That's Leo Buscaglia, and this is the Depression Detox Show. Welcome back to the Depression Detox Show, where we share ideas and stories to help you live a happier life. I am your host, Malik Josephs. Happy Monday. So this week, we are starting off with the late, great Leo Buscaglia. And in this talk, he does as he always does. He brings his lovable energy and excitement. So without further ado, here's Leo Buscaglia. Enjoy.
I love the work of Martin Buber, and especially his concept of I and thou. He says each of us is a thou. And when we're interacting with each other, we must interact as if we are holy things. Because indeed we are, special and unique. So when I'm interacting with you, you are a thou. But he says so often we interact with each other on the basis of I and it. Sometimes don't you feel incredible about being treated like an it? I am never reticent to shout out, scream it, I'm not an it. I'm me. I'm Felice Leonardo Buscaglia, one of a kind. Don't look through me. I have a sense of dignity. But you know, as long as we deal with people as I and thou, says Buber, we have dialogue. When we treat people as I and it becomes a monologue. I don't want to talk to myself. I want to talk with you. And I want you to talk with me. We have dignity. And children have to learn that, and they have to learn it early. And they also have to learn that they don't find themselves by looking outside of themselves. They have to look inside. It's not an easy trip, the trip of finding your uniqueness to share with others. Because all of your life you're told by others who you are. Has it ever occurred to you that you are not really you? Most of you are what people have told you you are. And maybe some of you have been wise enough to get hooked on the fact that they meant well, but that it may not be congruent with what you really are because you feel uncomfortable with the role that's thrown on you. And so you smash it down. And you say, I'm going to try to find who I am. And if you do, it's going to be your biggest challenge. There's going to be no peace. But it's also a proof positive you will never be bored. Self-discovery is like all discovery. It's full of wonder, but you've got to get inside. I love the Sufi story about the mullah who was out in the street on his hands and knees and touching the ground, you know, and a friend of his came by and said, Mullah, what are you doing in the street on your hands and knees? And he said, I'm hunting for my house key. I lost my house key. And he said, oh, show me about where you lost it and I'll get down on my hands and knees and help you. He said, oh, I lost it in the house. He said, then what the hell are you doing out here looking for it? He says, oh, it's lighter here. And you know, most of us look for ourselves out here in the light. You're not going to find it. You're going to have to get down on your hands and knees inside where it's dark and spooky and discover all those wonderful things about you. And it is unlimited. No one has ever been able to find a limit to human potential. So you are far more than you are actualized. And you can go on forever and forever and forever. People like Einstein, who decried the fact at the point of death that so little of him had been realized. It's true of all of us. We don't have to be an Einstein. But knowing that you're limitless is your greatest challenge. Find out all of that wonder of you and develop it and stand up proudly. And don't be afraid to fail. It's all right. You don't have to be perfect. You know, somebody was very nice before I came out here and said, be careful, there's a cable there. And there are 2 steps, and you're likely to trip. And I said, wouldn't that be fun if I walked out in all my glory and fell flat on my... You know, then if there was anybody in the audience that thought I was something special, they'd find out differently. I'm just very happy to be a human person like me. I don't have to be perfect. And then I think we need to teach children the importance of others, and that they cannot grow in this world without taking in others. And the more worlds that they take in, these unique worlds, the more they can become. We need to teach them to trust others again, because we're all frightened to death of each other. We're building higher and higher walls, longer and longer bridges. Tear them down. Every day I see how we're distrusting, and it hurts. We've got to learn to trust again, to believe again. And of course it's a risk, but everything's a risk. We'll talk about risk later on, but we need again to begin to go beyond just being. We've got to get in touch with being human, and there's a difference. There's a wonderful story that Buddhists tell that I just love about an ant in a rain barrel, and different attitudes about this ant. And they say the first person goes in and he looks in the rain barrel and he sees an ant. And he says to this ant, what are you doing in my rain barrel? And he goes, yuck, no ant. Selfishness. Next person comes and looks in, and he sees the ant there and he says, you know, it's a hot day here, even for ants, and you're not hurting anything. Go ahead and sit in my rain barrel. Tolerance. And the third person comes and doesn't think about being tolerant or anger. He sees the ant in the rain barrel and spontaneously feeds it a handful of sugar. That's love. When you get to the point that you don't have to analyze it anymore, you've got it made. The spontaneous reaction. Somebody's on the road and they need me. I stop. Someone needs to get on the freeway. I go. Someone's crying. And I say, can I help? Somebody said to me at an interview this afternoon, but what about these, when you go to people and you say something to them and they tell you, mind your own business, and you're likely to get that. Well, you don't love to be loved in return. You love to love. You do it because it's natural to reach in and give this ant some sugar. And what have you lost? And also, so many people who have potential are so afraid to let you see what they are. So much beauty is lost because you're afraid. I found a beautiful little thing written by Igmar Gustafsson, which is called Locked In. And I really love this because it says what we're talking about. He says, all my life I lived in a coconut. Isn't that a beautiful place to live? It was cramped and dark, especially in the morning when I had to shave. But what pained me most was that I had no way to get in touch with the outside world. If no one out there happened to find the coconut and was nice enough to crack it open, then I was doomed to live my life in a coconut and maybe even die there. And this happens so often. I died in my coconut. A couple of years later, they found the coconut, they cracked it open, and they found me shrunk and crumpled inside. Oh, what a shame, they said. If we'd only found him earlier, then maybe we could have saved him. Maybe there are more locked in like that. Let's go and look, they said, and they started knocking to pieces every coconut within reach. No use, meaningless, a waste of time. A person who chooses to live in a coconut must be a nut in a million. But they didn't know that I have a brother-in-law who lives in an acorn. That's scary. Get out of your coconuts. Get out of your acorns. You have a great responsibility to be what you are. It's your greatest challenge.
Big thanks to Leo Buscaglia. I got this clip from audible.com from chapter 8 of the Ultimate Leo Buscaglia Library, which I think you can get for free if you just go to audible.com. You can go through the details on that. And you can connect with more of his work by visiting leobuscaglia.org. And his latest book is entitled Born for Love, Reflections on Loving. And I have all the links to everything I just mentioned in the show description, as I always do. And when you get a chance, please follow the show on Spotify podcast, share it, or if you could leave a rating and or review on Apple Podcasts, that would be super, super, super appreciated. And that's it for me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you back here Wednesday. So, until then, stay strong. Later.